Hello,
Hello.
everyone, and welcome to this latest edition of Themed Bingo
With me, Mark.
with me, Mark, and
Me,
him,
Mark.
Mark.
Me, Mark, you, Mark. You, Mark, me, Mark. The Marks. And a rather funny looking imposter. He's pretending to be a bird today.
I have to adjust this real quick.
He's pretending to be a bird.
Yeah, he's pretending to be a blue tit.
So, as you can see today, we are playing Ing.
It's bird bingo.
It is bird bingo. There is other words that could be, but it is actually bird bingo. So, as always, if you're playing at Heathlands, we should have game sheets available to you, brought around by Marie before. If you're playing at home, you can purchase these games in most good game stores and bookstores, and then you can use the sheets to watch back and play. It's about, we've got about 20 or 30 different bingos, so there's loads to go at. And with that being said, should we get on with today's birdie bingo?
Yeah, let's get right on to it.
So we switch over to the game view. And there we are.
So of course, we will each round, we will pull out 5 of them, and then we'll do a
recap.
Trust me, the people at home heard that. Just we didn't.
a recap.
You want to hear?
Recap.
Thank you.
There you go. It was just we were getting echoes with the voices. That's why I turned the audio off.
So, and again, we'll try to do these like as quick as possible. Try to get these done in about 40.
Well, we'll try and get it done within the hour.
Yeah, we'll try.
We managed to get the smaller bingo done in 45 minutes, and we've done the big bingos in, I think, 58 minutes is our best one so far. So we can beat 58 minutes. Bonus.
And as always, if you get a line or a house, let us know in the comments below.
Yep. Even if you're watching it in repeat, still put the comments there, and we'll try and get them on for next time and mention them.
Okay. So now, moving on to the first one of this round. I'm gonna try saying this while keeping a straight face.
Okay.
The Andean cock of the rock.
Andean cock of the rock. A colourful South American songbird, native to cloud forests and the Andes. Feeds on fruits and insects. Males gather at the treetops to display grounds called leks, where they sing and dance and flaunt their brilliant plumage to the females. So they're basically, the males are a bit of flirts. Look at me. That kind of action.
Oh yeah, that makes sense because it's okay. Andean cock of the rock.
Yeah, they're a bit cocky.
Anyway, next one is the Emperor Penguin.
An emperor penguin. So that'll be under E for emperor. The largest penguin, weighing up to 45 kilograms, breeds on the Antarctic ice shelf during winter, when temperatures fall to minus 50 degrees. Males incubate a single egg on their warm feet under the fold of their fat. So they've got a belly fat that they warm the eggs in.
The Emperor Penguin. Available in shops near you.
No, you can't buy penguins.
I mean.
Available at the Antarctic.
Also comes the chocolate. Anyway, the Northern Mockingbird.
Northern Mockingbird. Common North American songbird, often found in towns and gardens. Loud songs include many calls and phrases copied from other birds. Defends its nest fiercely, attacking other birds, dogs, and even people. The Northern Mockingbird.
Right, next one is the House Martin.
House Martin, where you at? Small member of the swallow family that builds mud nests under the eaves of houses, feeds on insects caught in flight, breeds in Europe and migrates to tropical Africa in the winter. Yeah, so it comes over here to do its thing and then goes on holiday for the winter.
The house mountain. And now the final one of this round is not very amusing, is it?
It's an emu. Flightless Australian bird that is the tallest species after the ostrich. Stands 2 meters high and can run up to 50 kilometers per hour. Sometimes goes for weeks without eating and may swallow small stones to help grind down food. There you go. The emu.
The emu thing. Anyway, that's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap.
Thank you. So we have the Andean cock of the rock. The cocky rock. The emperor penguin, also found as chocolate. The northern mockingbird.
Very defensive of its nest.
The house martin.
Yep.
And finally, the amusing emu.
Emu. I can go for a week without eating.
So now moving on to round 2.
Wow.
First up is the greater flamingo.
The greater flamingo. Largest and most widespread species of flamingo. Found in Africa, southern Asia and the Mediterranean. Feeds on plankton by sweeping sieve-like bill upside down through the shallow water. Gets pink coloration from its diet.
The greater flamingo. Next up is very colourful bird, the lilac-breasted roller.
A lilac-breasted roller. A colourful hole-nesting bird of savanna woodland in the east and southern Africa, named for its rolling display of flight, in which it flashes a vivid blue wings, feathers once used as headdress by King of Zimbabwe. Right, so
The
its feathers are used for royalty.
lilac-breasted roller. Roller. Not roiler.
Not roller, roller. But it does get used for royalty.
Next up we have the two can play at that game.
You can play that game. Largest toucan native to tropical forest and savanna of southern Africa. Or Southern America, sorry. Huge lightweight bill takes up to 40% of the bird's surface area. The most for any species, and helps shed excess heat. Feeds on fruit and other birds' nestlings. So it eats young birds. Oh, cruel thing.
Well, you know what they say, only two can play that game. Next up is the superb lyrebird.
The superb lyrebird.
Yeah, the superb lyre.
Forest songbird of southern eastern Australia, named after the male too long. named after the male's too long, lyre-shaped outer tail, which it waves over its head during courtship. Displays versatile songster. Can mimic numerous other birds and can even may even make mechanical noises such as a chainsaw. So it can pretend to be a chainsaw. I'm sure it does a better job than we do.
The superb lyrebird. And then the final one in this round is a very common one. I'm gonna keep a straight face. It's the blue tit.
Small, hole-nesting songbird found in woodland and gardens across Europe. Feeds acrobatically in treetops and often visits bird feeders. One pair may gather more than 10,000 caterpillars for their young in just 3 weeks. Wow.
Oh.
So 10,000 caterpillars to every blue tit. Wow.
The
lot of
blue,
caterpillars.
the blue tit. So now that's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap, cap.
just about
Certainly
hear
can.
that? So first up was the greater flamingo.
Yeah, gets its colour from its food.
The lilac-breasted roller.
Feathers are used for royalty in Zimbabwe.
The two can play at that game.
That may eat small birds, or baby birds. Nestlings. I'm sure that's what nestlings means.
The superb lyrebird.
Can mimic a chainsaw.
Yes, there it is. And then finally, the blue tit.
Eats 10,000 caterpillars within 3 weeks. Or gathers them for its family more. Sorry.
So now moving on to round 3. Next up is the house sparrow.
The house sparrow. Small, seed-eating songbird that thrives around people. Originally from the Middle East, travels on ships has helped it spread to every continent except Antarctica. Now the most widespread bird in the world, the house sparrow. Yeah, it is a very common bird to see.
Next up is the brown kiwi.
Brown kiwi. Flightless chicken-sized ground bird, native to New Zealand. Feeds by night, using nostrils to tip off its long bill to sniff out worms underneath leaf and litter. Lays their eggs, or the largest eggs, lays the largest eggs of any bird relative to its size and body.
The brown kiwi. Just don't eat it.
I bet they're tasty.
Brown kiwis, no. I eat them green. Anyway, next up is the splendid fairy wren.
Splendid fairy wren. Small, brilliant blue songbird native to arid regions of Australia. Small groups hop around the ground in search of insects. Males display to females using seahorse flight, in which they rock their body like a swimming seahorse. There you go. There's a dance called the seahorse flight.
The splendid fairy wren. All right. The red-headed woodpecker.
Red-headed woodpecker. North American woodpecker with bright red head and neck. Searches trees for insects but also catches them in flight. Excavates nests hole in wood, in old wood. So basically it makes its nests in old wood and becoming rare in areas where dead trees are removed. So it needs dead trees to live off, basically. So leave them, stop taking them away.
The red-headed woodpecker. And the final one of this round is the red jungle fowl.
Red jungle fowl. Handsome game bird of Southeast Asia and an ancestor of the domestic chicken. Lives in tropical forest where it feeds on insects, seeds and fruits. Today there are around 50 million or 50 billion domestic chickens worldwide. Wow. It is the most common bird in the world, the chicken.
The red jungle fowl. So that's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap, cap.
There you go.
there you go. First up was the house sparrow.
Yeah, most widespread bird.
Then we had the brown kiwi.
That lays big eggs relative to its size.
And if you're going to eat it green. Next up was the splendid fairy wren.
Which does something called a seahorse dance.
Don't know, imagine what that's like.
It's like a seahorse.
The red-headed woodpecker.
Is getting extinct in areas where they remove the trees.
And the red jungle fowl.
Relative to the common chicken.
So now moving on to round number 4 of the bingo.
So I think we are averaging about 4 minutes per round. Isn't too bad.
Okay. So this first one, I'm going to say this without swearing. The great bustard.
Great busted. The world's heaviest flying bird, weighing up to 18 kilograms, found in open grasslands of Spain and Central Asia, where it forages for seeds and insects. Males puff up their white under plumage during the strutting courtship display. So it's another one that struts for the ladies. Check out my plumage.
All right, the great bustard. Next up is a very common winter bird,
Okay.
the European robin.
A European robin. Small European songbird with orange-red breast and a melodious song. Feeds on insects and often forages around gardens. Traditionally associated with Christmas, probably because Victorian postmen wore red uniforms and were nicknamed robins. There you go.
The European robin. This next one, give it the salute. The magpie.
Aye, Captain Magpie. Common long-tailed crow species of Europe and Asia. Wide diet includes acorns, insects, and the eggs and nestlings of other birds. Highly intelligent and curious, one of the only birds that can recognize itself in a mirror. The magpie.
The magpie. Next up is the brown pelican.
Brown pelican. Large fish-eating seabird of North America and Caribbean coast. The only pelican that catches fish by diving from the air often stores its catch in an expandable pouch of skin that hangs below its bill. Pelican.
The brown pelican. And last one.
That's made
The
you giggle.
wandering albatross. Fine.
The wandering
Fine.
albatross.
Fine.
Fine.
Fine. Fine. Fine. Fine.
Huge seabird with a wingspan of up to 3.5 meters. The longest of any bird. Breeds in colonies on remote islands of Southern Ocean. Glides vast distances over the sea without flapping. Pairs produce just one chick every 2 years. The wandering albatross.
Mine.
Mine.
So that's the end of this round. So can we have a...
Recap, cap.
Thank you. First up was the great bustard.
Which gets out its plumage for the ladies.
The European robin.
Shares its name with the postman.
The magpie.
Aye, aye, Captain Magpie.
The brown pelican.
Which has an expandable kind of bit to its beak which stores fish.
And the wandering albatross.
Mine.
Fine.
Mine.
So now moving on to round number 5. The bingo. And first up is the red-billed oxpecker.
The red-billed oxpecker. I'm guessing that it pecks oxes. Small African bird always found on or around large mammals, including cattle, antelope and giraffes. Removes ticks and other skin parasites from its host, but also pecks at wounds to feed on their flesh and blood. So it's a nice bird, removes stuff, but if you're bleeding, it's just going to make it worse.
The red-billed oxpecker. Next up is very common with Thanksgiving.
Okay.
The wild turkey.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble.
Large game bird native to North America that weighs up to 12 kilogram and is the ancestor of the domestic turkey. Gobbling calls can carry for 1.5 kilometers or 1 mile. Male's heads turn blue when he's excited and red when he's ready to fly or ready to fight. So blue for Randy, red for fighting. Don't know which is worse.
The wild turkey.
Stay normal. Don't change colour. I can't do a turkey colour.
Okay. Moving on now. Okay, moving on. We have the Bohemian
Rhapsody.
waxwing or rhapsody.
Bohemian waxwing. Songbird of Northern Europe, Asia and North America. Named after the red wax-like tips to its secondary wing feather. Nests in conifers and feeds on berries and insects. Migrates in winter when berry supplies are exhausted. And we have actually had some at Heathlands farm a few years ago. But I think ours might have been the common waxwing, not the Bohemian one. They came and ate the apples that had fallen off the trees.
The Bohemian waxwing rhapsody. Next up is the laughing kookaburra.
The kookaburra. Oh, it's eluding me. Where's L's? L. Laughing kookaburra. Large kingfisher bird found in woodland and suburbia across eastern Australia. Uses powerful bill to snatch reptiles, mice and other small prey from the ground. Name for its ear-piercing territorial call given at dawn and dusk. The kookaburra.
The laughing kookaburra. And then the final one is the blue-winged pitterbird, or the pitter.
The blue-winged pitterbird. Secretive bird of tropical forest in southern East Asia. Brilliant colours are hard to see on the gloomy forest floor, where it hops around in search of worms, snails. It builds its untidy nest amongst the tree roots.
The blue-winged pitterbird.
So it's now time for our...
Recap.
Thank you. So first up was the red-billed oxpecker.
Eats insects and your flesh if you're bleeding.
There it is. The wild turkey.
Gobble, gobble.
Okay. The Bohemian Rhapsody waxwing. The laughing kookaburra. And then finally, the blue-winged pitterbird.
Lives in messy nests and tree roots.
So now moving on to round number 6. And first up is the grey heron.
The grey heron, okay. Common wadding bird of Europe, Africa and Asia, stands motionless, waiting for prey such as fish and frogs, before seizing victim with a lightning-fast strike of its dagger bill. Nests in treetop colonies called heroneries. Yeah. Heronary, I think it was. The grey heron.
The grey heron. Next up is a absolute favourite of one of our members of Heathlands.
Okay.
The common kingfisher.
Oh, yeah. That's Oliver's favourite, isn't it? Colourful sparrow-shaped bird of Europe and southern Asia. Lives beside water where it dives, beak first, from a perch to catch small fish. Uses its strong bill to excavate a nesting tunnel in a riverbank. The common kingfisher.
The common kingfisher. Next up is the American kestrel.
Oh, the first one in our book. Small falcon found throughout the Americas. Feeds on grasshoppers, lizards and rodents. Perches on a post or hovers in mid-air to search for prey, then swoops down to snatch its victim from the ground. The American kestrel.
The American kestrel. Next up is the ostrich.
Where are you at? Come on. The world's largest bird, weighing up to 130 kilograms. Native to the savannas of sub-Saharan Africa. Flightless, but can run at 70 kilometers per hour. and deliver a lethal kick with its two-toed feet. One ostrich egg makes an omelette for 20 people. It's a big omelette.
The ostrich.
Imagine a Scotch egg you'd get off that. You need about 40 sausages wrapped around it.
The final one of this round is the Gouldian finch.
The Gouldian finch. Multicoloured songbird of northern Australia, named after Victorian naturalist John Gould. Common in the cage bird trade, but very rare in the wild. Male's face may be red, yellow, or black.
The Gouldian finch. So now moving on.
Recap.
First up was the grey heron.
Yeah. Waits silently for its prey.
Then we had the common kingfisher.
Yeah, it makes holes in riverbanks for nests.
Then we had the American kestrel.
Yeah. As the famous song goes, when life gets stressful, drink a can of kestrel. It was some British rapper who did that. I think he's not famous anymore.
Okay. The ostrich.
Makes an omelette for 40 people.
And then finally, the Gouldian finch.
Has a red, black, or white face.
So we're now moving on to round number 7 of the bingo.
So we're past the halfway point, I think. So there should be some lions out there.
And the first one of this round is the vulturine guinea fowl.
Large East African game bird, named for its bare vulture-like face, lives in open country where small flocks forage on the ground for seeds and insects. Prefers to run rather than take flight, but roosts at night in trees. There you go.
The next up one is the magnificent frigate bird.
Large, long-winged seabird of tropical Atlantic and Pacific. May fly for weeks without landing. Male inflates its red throat sac during breeding to display. Known as man-of-war bird for its habit of pirating food from other birds. So basically steals food off other birds. Pirating, it's a good word.
The magnificent frigate bird. Next up is the Eurasian blackbird.
Eurasian blackbird. Common thrush of Europe and southern Asia, sings melodious songs from rooftops and other high perches, lays 3 to 5 blue-green eggs in a cup-shaped nest lined with mud, cocks ear to ground to listen for earthworms. So it actually listens for earthworms. Clever bird.
Eurasian blackbird. Next up is the European bee-eater.
Colourful bird of Mediterranean regions that flies out from a perch to catch bees and other insects in mid-air. Colonies nest in the sandbanks, each pair digging their own tunnel. Migrates in winter to Africa and Asia. The European bee-eater.
And then the final one in this round is the common cuckoo.
migratory bird named for loud two-note calls. Breeds in Europe and spends winter in tropical Africa. Lays eggs in the nests of other birds, which brings up their young cuckoos of their own. Eats hairy caterpillars. The common cuckoo. Not a very good parent, just passes it out. So does that make it time for a...
Recap, cap.
I just realised it was a recap.
Yeah.
I've lost track. First it was the vulturine guinea fowl. Then we had the magnificent frigate
Which pirates foods off other birds.
Then we had the Eurasian blackbird.
Which can listen for worms on the ground.
Then we had the European bee-eater.
Yeah, lives in riverbanks.
And then finally, the common cuckoo.
Who lays its eggs in other birds' nests.
So now moving on to round number 8.
Number 8.
Of this bingo. And first up, we have the scarlet ibis.
Scarlet ibis. Okay. Bright red wadding bird of coastal wetlands in tropical Southern America and the Caribbean. Probes mud for food with long curved bill. Crustaceans in its diet help produce plumage coloration. National bird of Trinidad. The scarlet ibis.
Scarlet ibis. Next up is, I don't know if this like reminds me of a type of drink.
Okay.
The Canada Goose.
Canada Goose. Is there a drink called the Canada Goose?
I don't know.
You could always invent one. Large North American waterfowl that feeds mostly on grass and grain. Flocks migrate in a V-shaped formation. Thrives around people. Introduced to Europe, where it can become a pest in parks and towns. The Canada Goose. Well, that must be the common goose around here then.
Next up is the golden Oreo or Oreos.
Golden Oreo. Thrush-sized fruit-eating songbird with beautiful fluttering call. Breeds in Europe and migrates to Central Africa in the winter. Only males have the brilliant yellow plumage. Females are leaf green and hard to spot among the foliage. So that's a male one there.
The golden Oreo or Oreo. Next up, we have the blue jay.
Blue jay. Colourful North American crow. Lives in forests and gardens, where it feeds mostly on seeds and insects. Highly intelligent, mimics other birds' calls, collects shiny objects, and may bury food to collect later. So it stores it for later in the ground. Clever little bird.
The blue jay. And the final one in this round is the hoopoe.
Hoopoe. Hoopoe. Colourful crested bird found in Africa, Asia and southern Europe. Named for repetitive hoop 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 call given from high perches. Nests in tree holes and uses curved bill to probe for food on the ground. The hoop hoop. Hoop hoop hoop.
The hoop. So now that's the end of this round. Can we have a...
Recap.
First up was the Scarlet Abyss.
National bird of Trinidad.
Then we had the Canada Goose.
Yep. Become a pest in Europe.
The Golden Oriole or Oreos.
Where the men are yellow and the women are green.
Then we had the Blue Jay.
Who buries food for later.
And then finally, the Hoopoe.
Hoop, hoop, hoop.
Ooh. So moving on to round number 9.
Oh, we're getting close to the end now.
We're getting close to the end now.
Couple more rounds left.
So first up, we have, you need 4 of these.
Okay.
The Turtle Dove.
Turtle dove. Small dove with purring call that breeds in Europe and migrates to sub-Saharan Africa for winter. Lives in open woodland and farmland, where it feeds mostly on the ground, heavily hunted in the Mediterranean region. The turtle dove. And a partridge in a pear tree.
Do I like... Next up, we have the Rhinoceros Hornbill.
Rhinoceros hornbill. Big fruit-eating bird of southeastern Asian rainforests. Named after the horn-like casque on its massive bill. Female seals herself inside a tree-holed nest and is fed through a slit by the male until the chicks are grown. So she kind of barricades herself in, and the guy kind of gives her food through a little letterbox.
The Rhinoceros Hornbill. Next up is the Barn Owl.
Barn owl. Common owl found on every continent except Antarctica. Silent flight and powerful hearing allow it to capture small rodents in pitch darkness, often nests in old farm buildings, and makes an eerie hissing call. Hiss. The barn owl.
The Barn Owl. Next up is the Golden Pheasant.
Golden pheasant. Okay. Beautiful game bird native to eastern China, where it feeds on the ground in conifer forests. Popular in aviaries in the UK and has escaped to live in the wild. Females have brown plumage to camouflage them and their nests. So they're now in the UK. The golden pheasant.
The Golden Pheasant. And then the final one in this round, we have the Northern Cardinal.
The northern cardinal. Common North American songbird that often visits garden feeders, feeds mostly on seeds and berries. Pairs stay together for life. Males chase away rivals and may even attack their own reflection. Get away. Back.
The Northern Cardinal.
Does that make time for a...
Recap.
It is. First up was the Turtle Dove. Then we had the Rhinoceros Hornbill.
hornbill? Where the females hide in holes and get fed through a letterbox.
The barn owl.
Makes a hissing noise.
Then we had the golden pheasant.
Yep. Now starting to be native to England. Or UK rather.
And then finally, the northern cardinal.
Who's scared of its own reflection.
Now moving on to round number 10.
So you should be getting some lines definitely now. Getting close to the all elusive house.
First up is the European starling.
A European starling. Noisy songbird native to Europe and Western Asia and introduced to North America, Australia and South Africa. Often imitates calls of other birds. Outside the breeding season may roost in huge flocks of 1 million or more. Ooh, the European starling. Yeah, we've got a nest of starlings in the tree near us.
The European starling.
They make lovely murmurations.
Next up is the shoebill.
Shoebill. Very large, long-legged wadding bird related to pelicans, found only in deep papyrus swamps in Central Africa. Uses capacious clog-shaped bill to scoop up fish, frogs and other water creatures. The shoebill.
The shoebill. Next is I actually seen 2 of these
Okay.
outside my kitchen window yesterday. The European goldfinch.
The European goldfinch. Colourful songbird found across Europe and Western Asia. Uses pointed bill to prise seeds out of thistles and other plants. Common visitors to garden feeders, and once popular as caged birds for its pleasant trilling song. Trill, trill, trill.
The European goldfinch. Next up is the pied wagtail.
A pied wagtail. Energetic, insect-eating songbird of Europe and Asia, named after its constantly wagging tail, usually found near water and in towns, often forages on pavements and car parks, sometimes nests in a beaver dam. There you go, the pied wagtail.
Next up, for the last one, is the mallard.
Mallard. Very common waterfowl, native to Europe, Asia and North America, and introduced to Australia and New Zealand. Opens to feed below surface. Appends to feed below the surface of tiny water plants and animals, ancestors of most domestic ducks worldwide. So it's a type of duck, the mallard.
The mallard. So
Also the name of the
that's
train.
it. That's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap, cap.
thank you. So first up was the European starling.
Can a nest with up to 1 million friends.
Then we had the shoebill.
Uses its beak to scoop up fish.
Then we had the European goldfinch.
Yep. Makes a nice trilling noise.
Then we had the pied wagtail.
Eats from thistles, I think that one was.
And then finally, the mallard.
Ancestor of all common ducks.
Now we're on to round 11.
Well, can't be many left now.
There's only like a few left now. And the first one is the mandarin duck.
Beautiful waterfowl, symbiotic of fidelity, or symbolic of fidelity in Chinese culture. Native to East Asia, but now more common in Britain, where an introduced population thrives. Ducklings leap to the ground for their tree nest hole before they can fly. So, the mandarin duck, now common in Britain.
Next up is the California condor.
California condor, where you at? Huge, endangered New World vulture, found in California and the Grand Canyon. Soars high on 3-meter wingspan in search of carrion on the ground, breeding in captivity, saved species from extinction, and it lives up to 60 years. Do you know what carrion is? It's basically rotting meat, things that have died.
The California condor. Next up is, now I'm very positive that this is actually a drink.
Okay.
The red grouse.
The red grouse. What sort of drink is it?
It's supposed to be a type of.
Well, you get grouse, which is a whiskey. Anyway, plum game bird found on moorland in Britain and Ireland, where it feeds on heather. Gamekeepers manage grouse moors for hunting. The shooting season starts on the 12th of August, traditionally known as the Glorious 12th. There you go, the red grouse.
The red grouse.
I imagine the drink has whiskey in it.
Next up is the bullfinch.
Bullfinch. Colourful, seed-eating songbird found in woodlands and gardens across Europe. Uses a stout bill to pluck buds from trees. Unpopular with fruit farmers because they damage it and because of the damage it can do to orchards, basically. So it uses the fruit to get insects off, but damages the fruit. The seed-eating songbird.
The bullfinch. And now, final one is the herring gull.
Herring gull. The typical seagull of Britain and Northern Europe, common in many seaside towns where it nests on rooftops and feeds on refuse. Uses more than 24 different calls to communicate. The herring gull.
The herring gull. So that's it for this round. So can we have a
Recap, cap.
Good. First up was the mandarin duck.
Which is now common in Britain.
Then we had the California condor.
Lives on carrion.
Then we had the red grouse.
Which is named after the drink.
Then we had the bullfinch.
Can't remember the facts on that one.
And then finally, the herring gull.
With 24 different calls.
So now moving on to round 12.
Ooh, is this the last round or is there another one after?
I think this might be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
2 more rounds.
So, this is the second last round.
Okay.
And then first up is the blue kuya.
Blue kuya, member of the cuckoo family, found only in Madagascar. Lives in tropical forest where it feeds mainly on insects and small reptiles. The blue kuya.
Next up is the magnificent bird of paradise.
Small bird of paradise with a long curling tail feathers, called wires. Feeds on fruit and flowers in mountain rainforests of New Guinea. Males flaunt their extraordinary plumage to the females in 5 different kinds of displays. So it's another show off. The magnificent bird of paradise.
Next up is the saddle-billed stork.
Saddle-billed stork. Very tall wadding bird found in the wetlands and waterways in sub-Saharan Africa. Stands up to 1.5 meters tall and uses its huge colourful bill to capture fish, frogs and crabs. Females differ from the males by having a yellow, not brown, eye.
Saddle-billed stork. Next up is, I'm going to say this while keeping a straight face.
Okay.
The blue-footed booby.
Booby. Blue-footed booby. Where you at? Large seabird related to gannets that nest in colonies of the Galapagos and other Pacific islands. Dives beak first from the air to capture fish. Males have bright blue feet and females during courtship. The males wave their bright blue feet at females during courtship displays. So, yeah. So the women choose the males based on the feet. Have a look at my feet, love.
The blue-footed booby. And then the final one of this round, we have the scarlet macaw.
The scarlet macaw. Large colourful parrot found in tropical South and Central America. Can crush palm nuts in its powerful bill. Loud squawking screams carry for kilometres and helps groups keep together. Lives for up to 50 years when it's in the wild. Wow. The scarlet macaw.
Scarlet macaw. So that's the end of this round. Can we have a
Recap, cap.
There you go. First up was the blue
Kawa.
koa. Then we had the magnificent bird of paradise.
Yeah, with a wire tail.
Then we had the saddle-billed stork.
The females have yellow eyes.
Then we had the blue-footed booby.
Which uses blue foot to attract females.
And then finally, the scarlet macaw.
Which can live up to 50 years in the wild.
So now moving on to round 13, which is the
final round. And we've just hit an hour.
So first up is the ruby-throated hummingbird.
Tiny North American bird that migrates to Central America for winter. Feeds mainly on nectar, which it sips from flowers while hovering in midair. Beats wings at up to 70 times per second. Wow, that's fast.
The ruby-throated hummingbird. Next up is very common American bird,
Okay.
the bald eagle.
Large North American bird of prey named after its white head. Eats fish and carrion and steals food from other birds. Its huge stick nest can weigh more than 2 tons. National bird of the USA.
The bald
bald
eagle. Next up is the mute swan.
The mute swan. Very large waterfowl native to Europe and Asia and introduced to North America and Australia. Thrives in human environments. One of the heaviest flying birds, weighing up to 12 kilogram. Wing beats in flight can be heard from a kilometre away.
The mute
The mute
swan.
swan.
And then the final
The last one.
of this bingo is the Atlantic puffin.
The Atlantic puffin. Seabird found on both sides of the North Atlantic, nicknamed a sea parrot after its colourful bill. Nests in burrows on grassy slopes, dives to catch small fish and may carry 15 in its bill at once. Wow. Must be small fish or a big bill.
The Atlantic puffin. So for one final time, can we have a
Recap, cap.
I certainly can.
first up was the ruby-throated hummingbird.
Yeah. Drinks nectar.
Then we had the bald eagle.
National bird of America.
Then we had the mute swan.
Common in the UK and Europe.
And then finally, the Atlantic puffin.
Can fit 15 fish in its mouth. So, everybody should have a house now. And if you don't, you've probably missed one, so you'll have to look back to see where you got it. So, thank you today for presenting, Mark.
You're welcome.
And that was Bird Bingo. We will be back again in 2 weeks' time with another bingo for you. Until then, ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta for now.
See you soon.